Copper Bosch, live on the Zone. And what a heavyweight fight we have for you as well. Two men that we're extremely fond of course, Johnny Fisher with the big step up against Alen Babic. Two guys that, of course, have graced us here before at Fight Camp. Alen twice, I believe, and of course Johnny Fisher as well, and even a proposal for Alen Babic just on the lawn down there. So welcome to the teams. Welcome to two great heavyweights ahead of what is a massive night of boxing for both men's career. Johnny Fisher, long been the biggest individual ticket seller in the country. Already over 3,000 tickets sold from the front room of Big John, and he's around somewhere. Thank you for all your efforts. We're expecting around 7,000 at the Copper Bosch on July 6th, and what an incredible atmosphere it's going to be. The big step up for Johnny Fisher against this man, Alen Babic, who we know every time brings the heat, brings the fire, and a big fight for his career as well. We'll start with the manager, Michael Offo. Michael, welcome. You've been around him a long, long time. I think a lot of people surprised to see this fight, but when you look at it on paper, probably the most perfect fight for both.
Yeah, we thought you'd lost your mind when the call came in for him to fight Alen. It's the wrong kind of step up, in our opinion, but Alan's ready to do what he does and be that savage and walk through him. We've got a lot of respect for the team, but on the night there will be no respect for him whatsoever, and Alan's going to do the number and stop him.
I was quite surprised with the speed that you guys took the fight, in all honesty. Quite concerned with that speed. Yeah, quite concerned with that speed, because even like the negotiations for the money, it was still existed, but I could tell with you guys, and we've done a lot of business over the years, that it was almost like, wow, we've actually got this fight, we love it, and it's the perfect one for us.
Yeah, Alen is the type of man that will break you in there. This is as much as it's physical, it's a mental battle. And when Alen steps forward, it's a different type of energy. And it's not something that you can prepare for in the gym. Got a lot of respect for Mark Tibbs. We know exactly how he prepares his fighters from being around him, and we know he's going to have him in tip-top shape. But in those dark moments, when those demons comes, there's nothing that can be done in the gym to prepare this young man for what Alan's going to do to him.
And you believe overrun him. It's the same old Alen Babic, just too much work rate, too much heart, too much depth to the trenches from Alen Babic, and you think he'll run through this guy?
From the first round, straight to the trenches. It's sink or swim, and we're going to swim.
Adam, fighting talk. For us, there's a lot on the line. You know, it was something that we had to consider carefully going into this fight. We know it's a massive step up. Everybody in the country knows what Alen is about, and this is it, the real acid test for Johnny Fisher.
Yeah, look, it is a step up against Alen. We've seen what Alan's done, but I think we're not underestimating Alen Babic. I think people are underestimating Johnny Fisher and the journey he's going on. Johnny Fisher is already probably the biggest ticket seller in British boxing. He's going all the way. He's going all the way to a world title. And people, you said that a few years ago, people would have laughed at you, but Johnny fought Harry Armstrong, won the Southern Area title against a very good boxer in Harry. He then fought in Vegas against Bezos. And it was time for a step up. And we looked around, we thought, what's the right kind of step up? A lot of people talked to me about that fight. We discussed it, Eddie. It's a big step up for Johnny. But I think people are underestimating Johnny. You're going to see the levels, you're going to see the class of Johnny Fisher when he deals with Alen Babic quickly.
From my point of view as a promoter, you want to see the biggest fights at that time. From Johnny's point of view, he'll fight anybody because that's just what fighters do. From the management side of things, it's getting the mix right of, we know we're big anyway. We can fight anywhere. We sell out, all these tickets. Yeah. Do we need this guy, this nuisance, right now in our lives? And the answer is that the time has come for that challenge.
Alen is a massive nuisance. He's right in your face, and Alen Babic would knock out a prospect on the way up if they weren't as good as Johnny Fisher. That's the reality of the situation. And when we look, Johnny sells 2,000, 3,000 tickets whoever he's fighting. The point about growing a prospect like Johnny Fisher is they've got to learn on the job. Johnny doesn't have a massive amateur pedigree. This fight, he will learn loads in the build-up and loads in the ring, because Alen Babic is a man who will test him.
Well, fighting talk from both teams. Savage, welcome back. Seen a massive air of confidence from you since this fight was made. You know this guy, you know how young and strong he is, but you truly believe no chance of you not being victorious on July 6th?
Thank you for having me, everybody. It was so beautiful to be here. And listen, Johnny Fisher, I think he's a great fighter, but I think he's a young fighter. Listen, I had 100 amateur fights. Most of them were tougher than me and him both. I had 12 professional fights. I was tested so many times. And I went through all of them almost, but one. But you know, so this is his first test, and I remember when I had my first test. It was my third bout against Shondell. You was there, and you were telling me you're not going to be able to do this. You know, it's a 50-50 fight. So I was there. I'm at least 5 years into this testing and stuff, and I know what it brings. You know, and that's why I said yes to this fight, and I feel like it's a present from God for me.
Johnny Fisher, big, strong, heavyweight, punches hard as well. Are we just going to expect the same Alen Babic as always? Like Michael said, you just have to go in and break him in there?
Listen, I have 13 years of fighting at the elite level. Like I was one fight away from the Olympics. So I meet strong men every day of my life. In the strong punchers and power punchers, I fought them all. I've been through them all. I know what to expect. He wasn't. That's the point of it. You know, he wasn't there. Like I was 30 years of fighting. He's a very young man. I think he was about 10 years old then. So since then, I'm fighting big, strong punchers. So don't talk about big, strong punchers like they're something new to me. You know?
What I will say is that you've had some big occasions. You obviously boxed out in Poland, didn't go your way. You boxed on some huge cards. You boxed here at Fight Camp as well. But main event in London, 7,000. It's what the Savage is born for, isn't it?
Oh, it's amazing. I know it's going to be hostile. So listen, I want everybody to know I am the underdog in this fight. Fuck the favorites. I am the underdog. I was the favorite for one fight. It was the worst fight of my life. It almost destroyed me. Almost. I was 1 year into depression. It almost threw everything off. So I am a big underdog in this fight. Thank you.
Could also be England-Croatia that weekend, maybe even that day as well.
I love England. I'm not going to answer this question.
And finally, Alan, you guys did say yes very quickly. You really fancy this fight. You think we made a mistake?
Oh, of course. I didn't ask about the money. I didn't ask nothing. He knows. Dillian knows. I just said yes, and I feel like it's a present from God. But on the other hand, I feel it's a perfect fight for Johnny also. It's a big, big step up. It's a big test. He gotta have tests. This is his first big test, and I'm gonna drown him. I'm gonna go to that card because, like I said, I had 160 fights with tough men, and I know how to drown a guy. And I have my confidence back in my chin, which was my main thing was my chin. Nobody could chin me, you know. But then I lost that in the Rozansky fight, and now I got it back. So it's beautiful. I've been sparring 5 guys, 10 rounds. So it's crazy, just crazy.
And as Michael said, it's just that straightforward, to the trenches and drown him.
Yeah, he saw me on my first spar with Dillian White, so he knows what he's talking about. Right back then, I was 88-kilo guy. Dillian was 120. I didn't care then. I don't care today, you know. This is my job. This is what I have to do. This is my trabajo.
Thank you, Alan. Johnny, well, how exciting is this? I mean, not just that you're headlining in London for the first time, but you're in a real fight. You know, a fight that people see as a 50-50 fight. The time has come, the development boxing all around the UK and around the world, of course, Vegas last time. Now, a different kind of spite in training camp. You know, this is the real stuff on July 6th.
It's extremely exciting, Eddie. Very, very excited. As you said, lots of people coming, but that means nothing to me. Me and Alan, we're going to get in the ring and we're going to have a proper tear-up. And we talk about Alan saying he's the underdog in this fight. Well, you're talking about 13 years experience. You're talking about 10 years experience as an amateur, 100 fights. Sounds like you think you're the favourite in this fight. But for me, the one thing you've got to realise is it's not about me having to fight Alen Babic. It's about you having to fight Johnny Fisher.
No, I'm a huge underdog. I'm a huge underdog.
Do you think that people do underestimate you? I mean, people talk about, we know the tickets are, obviously, everybody talks about that. But as I said after your last fight in Vegas, I see you now as a world-class prospect in the heavyweight division. Rather than just a ticket seller that some people might think you are, this is a fight to show that you're to be taken seriously on world level.
if you're in the sport of boxing and you care about what people think or what people say, you're not in the right sport, because you're going to have people saying, look at Tyson Fury, look at Anthony Joshua, look at the top level, look at Alexander Usyk. You're going to get criticism from every angle. What matters is you've got a team around you and you've got belief in yourself, and self-belief is something I'm never going to be short of.
He talks about the strategy is quite simple, to take you to the trenches, to drown you. Have you got what it takes to fight in there? And does it go that far, or do you have the power to get him out there before he gets you there? Definitely
got the power. We've seen that before. But if we go to the trenches, that's what I believe I've got inside me. You can train as much as you want in the gym. You've got to have that inside you. That's a mentality that you're born with, no matter what background you're from. And I've got that mentality.
Does this training camp differ? Does mentality change in this training camp? A lot of those fights, with all due respect to the opposition, we kind of knew, with the exception maybe of Harry, that it was going to be a fairly straightforward job. This time around, training with a different kind of mentality and intensity?
Every fight, the intensity goes up. The standards you hold yourself to goes up as you get better as a fighter. And as their team said, this is the right time now. And it is going to be absolutely bouncing in the Copper Bosch. It's going to be absolutely brilliant, and that will only make me rise to that occasion. I've been there before, Ali Pali, O2. Me and Alan fought on the same card at the O2. We fought here, and the respect is there, but the respect demands the best performance from me, and that's what he's going to get.
And how exciting and important is this fight for you? We know we expect around 7,000 at the Copper Bosch, and then go into potentially British title fights at the O2, all the ability to sell out these massive arenas, but absolutely must win on July 6th.
Nothing else matters other than beating Alen Babic, so don't put everything else out your head. My whole life is about beating Alen Babic for the next few weeks.
Finally, to both men, Johnny, I know you're a humble man. What happens on July 6th, prediction, and how it plays out?
Listen, the win is all that matters. I've said that, as you know, throughout my whole career. And I'll be bringing the heat. He'll be bringing the heat. You can be guaranteed that you're going to be entertained. And after the fight, as you said, I'm a gentleman, I'm a humble man, and I'm a sportsman as well. And I will shake Alen Babic's hand after the fight.
Alan, I know the respect's there as well, but tell us what happens on July 6th.
Well, listen, I always talked about knockouts. I don't like knockouts. I like when the judge steps in, and saves the opponent. That's what I fancy right now. So I expect exactly that, to judge to step in and to save him. Because no father should see his son getting beaten like that.
Okay. Well, on that note, we leave you with an incredible build-up to an incredible fight and night, July 6th at the Copper Bosch, live on DAZN. This big heavyweight step-up, as we said, one of the biggest ticket sellers in the country, Johnny Fisher, will fill up the place for a brilliant step-up in the heavyweight division against someone that we all know very, very well. One of the toughest men out there in the division, Alen Babic. A great night of boxing as we start an incredible run on DAZN. Boxing is flying right now, and enjoy it all on the global home of boxing, DAZN. We look forward to seeing you and 7,000 others at the Copper Bosch, July 6th. We're going to face these guys off now. Thank you.